Hi, my name is Carl Grace. I'm here with my friend Tommy, and we're down here at the Gnomon. Today we're going to do a black and gray realistic piece with a little hint of darkness to it, my own little style. I'm just going to be going on his leg, and hopefully we'll go over some theories and techniques, and you'll learn a little bit more about tattooing from this video. I'm originally from Los Angeles area, and I've been tattooing off and on for about 11 years now, professionally for the last 7, and pretty excited, so let's do it. Okay, so this is our reference for today, and I photoshopped it. I like to tattoo with a lot of like high contrast and stuff, so I I took the contrast up, and I'm not going to explain really too much. I don't have my computer here today, but it's gonna be a portrait style, but I'm gonna do my own little like textures and stuff like that, and try to bring out a little bit of dark evilness to it. So I'm gonna go ahead and explain how I make my stencils and why I do certain things, and then we'll get over there and start setting up machines and inks and go over that, and we'll get it started. So this is the copy of it. It's a little dark, but it'll do for now. So I have the Thermofax paper, and I'm just going to tape this on top. For portraits and stuff like that, I like to use the actual tracing paper on top. You can use just the back of the piece of paper, but I feel like this one kind of folds around the body a little better. So here we go. I'm going to start with the outside line of her face, which is a lot of black. This one's actually a lot better image, so I'll probably look at that one as I'm making this. Okay. And I'm going to start feathering in the hair, getting the lines that are needed. Coming through. I'm just following all my darks right now, all my blacks. I'm just solid blacking them in. And I'm actually shading them in. I'm not just running, a solid outline. I'm actually shading this piece right now as we're going. Kind of just doing a quick sketch right over the paper, which really helps when you place a stencil. It's a lot easier to read. You're not always wondering what this dotted line is or what this line is compared to the next one. It's pretty legible. I'll show you when we get done. So you can see right here, I can't see hardly any, it's just all black, but right here I can, so I'm just going to kind of follow this. That's a nice solid black spot right here, so I just filled the whole thing in. If you look on the back of the page, you can already start seeing how the hair is flowing. So we'll just keep doing that. I do a lot of like really dark, high contrast pieces. So, you know, you might think that this, you know, all this black that I'm doing right now is really like, oh, I could just draw a line right there or whatnot. But I feel it's important for me. This is the way I do my stencils, and it works for me. So everybody has their own different, unique style of doing it. But you know, try it out, and if you like it, stick with it. Now I'm just going to start hitting the lines to the skeleton fingers right here. Turn that off. Just give it a little bit of that shading right there. I'm barely pressing, so it's really gonna, the stencil will show up pretty light right there. And on the dark parts, I'm pressing as hard as I can without ripping the paper. It's just like shading. It's just like sketching on you know, a drawing piece of paper. It's at the end of it, it's going to look exactly the same. This is the end of it right here on the bottom of the piece. I'm probably going to like draw on a little bit more just to further the piece out with some flow to the leg, but for right now, until I put the stencil on the skin and actually get to see how it's looking, I'm just going to cap that off and go from there. So this is showing it really dark right here, but the reference right here is just kind of light. So I'm just going to give it a little light gray. I always run a really solid black line or in between the shapes. That way, when you know it's really legible, and as you're wiping your, you know, as you're tattooing, and you're wiping it down, you don't lose that line. All right. So right here, I'm just kind of giving it like a middle-sized pressure, just trying to give it some gray. So I'm like I said, I pretty much just sketched this whole piece out, and when I put the stencil on, the whole tattoo's there. And I used to just do the outlines and dots or broken lines and stuff like that, trying to show me where certain shading should be, and it's faster doing it that way. But I think if you take the time and you spend an extra 20 minutes on a stencil, it's just a lot easier to read, which is helpful when you're tattooing for 5-6 hours and half your stencil's gone. So I'm kind of following this line right here, even though you can't see it on this reference, just to give it some really darks. And then from there, I'm just going to let go a little bit of the pressure just so you can see the different tones in the stencil itself. It's really hard to see all this right here. This photocopy is a little dark, but that's why you gotta have your reference right here so you can look and make the appropriate decisions. So I'm pushing pretty hard right here just to get that angle right there. And then I'm going to loosen up and just going to shade the rest of the face in. Line it hard right here so I can tell the difference. Make sure this shape's standing out. get to this hair. For hair, I usually just hit all the blacks, give it a little bit of direction as far as the line goes, and then do the rest of the shading. So I'll give it a little bit of direction as far as we're going. Some shading coming off inside. Get a little bit of flow coming off the hair right here. Let's get to this guy. Yep. Looks pretty good. A little more black right here, and I think we got our stencil ready. I know it takes a little bit longer to do this, but I honestly believe that once you've done it, your hand gets a little bit of like muscle memory. You know, you just drew the whole piece, and now you're going to tattoo it. And you know, instead of just having a line, you know, drawing to look at and stuff, I'm actually going to put this reference on him, and that's what I'm going to follow. So there's our reference, and we're going to go set up our machines, and then we'll get busy. Alright, so I got 4 machines laid out for this tattoo today. I usually run a minimum of 3, and I'll go over why I have 4 and what I'm going to use each one for. I'm going to start with the liner. I'm going to go ahead and set up a 5 liner today, just a standard 5. So when I set up my machines, I normally grab by the eye hole and just give it a slight bend down so it gets the angle, and it runs on the bottom of the tube. So I'm going to slide this through. So I use 2 different sets of nipples for the eye hole for my hard hitting machines, or the ones where I want to, you know, solid black or lining. I use a pretty solid nipple for the post, so it doesn't give a lot of play on the skin. And this one is one of them. Two rubber bands going around it. And I'll set my depth. Right there. I like to leave my needle out about that far. I don't run off the tube, I run off the needle. So that's about the stroke right there. Alright, this right here is a 9 mag, but I'm using a bug pin, so bug pins are a thinner style needle. The diameter is smaller, so instead of using a 9 mag, I'm using an 11 bug pin, which fits into a 9 mag tube. Same thing, give it a slight bend on the bottom right here, slight bend on the top, slide it through, and that should just keep it running on the bottom of the tube. Nice and smooth. This machine I'm going to be doing a lot of my light grays with, so I got these really soft, kind of squishy nipples that I use, and they just give it a little extra give on the skin. Kind of just play through it. Set on my stroke. That's about the depth of where I want it to go. About that far. So this one is going to be what I'm doing the majority of my black work with. It's a 15 mag. But again, I'm using a bug pin, so instead of using just this, I used to use 15 long taper needles, and I switched over to bug pins since they came out, and I just found they don't really trauma the skin as much, and they're a smaller needle, so you don't really get the dot effect, the pepper shade, which I definitely do not like. So I'm going to be using this hard plastic nipple that goes through, and it's definitely going to be pushing some black into the skin. And this is going to be a 25 mag long tapered needle. And this is what we're going to do the majority of our soft grays with. I like to use bigger mags for soft grays. You get a lot smoother, fluid, consistent gray with it. You're covering a larger area at the same time, so it just works better. I got one of the soft nibbles going on, so definitely, it's a really soft hitting machine also. So it's got a lot of give on the skin.